Good morning. The leaders of all kinds in our world have learned a lot from Pope Francis. Now, I would like to begin my series of reflections on various themes with the first reflection on the leadership style of Pope Francis. For many managers, he has been a standout leader worth studying. So, what makes his leadership style so effective? So, based on the analysis of some people and what they have seen and heard, they say it comes down to the following primary points. So, I would like to share with you some 5 or 6 important elements of Pope Francis' leadership styles. So, as you listen to me, I also invite you to reflect on this leadership style and on your own personal leadership style. 1. Pope Francis keeps a very healthy schedule. So, managing personal energy is one of the key practices of effective leaders. Even while traveling, Pope Francis seems to follow a fairly rigid schedule to manage his energy. Whether it is at the Vatican or he is traveling, he has got a discipline, said one of the Vatican spokesman. Up at 4 each morning for prayer and meditation, Pope Francis is busy during the day and retires each night at 9 to read before sleep. He also avoids packing too many functions into his schedule, so leaving a buffer time throughout the day. So leaders who waste hours with pointless activity will find they don't have the energy they need for the stuff that really matters most. Second, Pope Francis sets an example. So soon after his election, the Pope immediately set his sights on the Vatican's finances, aiming to clean up a regular source of scandal. But he also knew that ensuring clean books at the highest levels would set a good example of good governance for the entire church and clear the path for pursuing a wider agenda. His personal simplicity, integrity, humility, all of these send out powerful messages. 3. Pope Francis takes risks and tackles the tough stuff. Leaders cannot afford to put off tough conversations, difficult decisions, or controversial initiatives. If they delay it, it will harm their organizations. So it has been surprising for many how willing the Pope has been to lean into controversial issues and take tough decisions, though the decisions may not leave many happy. Not only has he begun reforming the vast Vatican bureaucracy, but he is intent on straightening out the Vatican Bank. So it's an example of how taking care of the big thorny issues early on can help leaders build momentum for continued progress. It is worth noting that in many cases, Pope Francis did not revise Catholic doctrine, but his leadership style offered a refreshing new perspective to many who might have previously felt shut out. The fourth point is Pope Francis models his values. Long before he became Pope, Francis modeled the kind of humility and simplicity he now demands from other church leaders. He sees it as an essential to embody the values he preaches. By modeling his vision, he not only inspires Catholics but also shows how they might embody these same values themselves. And the fifth point is, don't just hire your friends. Australian Cardinal George Pell was an unlikely candidate for spearheading Pope Francis' financial reforms. This Cardinal Pell was privately disappointed with the Pope's election, we are told, concerned that he would lead the Vatican down a liberal path. But Pope Francis had heard Cardinal Pell's outburst against the status of the church finances and knew that this Cardinal Pell's blunt style would be effective in pushing reforms regarding finance. And so, in March 2014, Pope Francis asked Cardinal Pell to become his finance head. And the sixth, take advice seriously. From the very beginning, Pope Francis has demonstrated a willingness to listen to those around him. As his first substantial move in office, for example, Pope Francis created a council of cardinal advisors comprising 8 members from around the globe who hold ideologically diverse views. The group has since advised the Pope on each of his major actions, and many call it the most important decision-making force in the Vatican. And my dear friends, I only wish that we could take some of these points from Pope Francis' style of leadership for our own personal life, and especially advocate these qualities around where you are and to those who need according to you. Thank you.